that time once again, Ethan, as we welcome you into episode number 281 of the Grunge Bible Podcast. My name's Chris Salona, and I'm here with Ethan Shalloway. Ethan Shalloway, how we doing today? What's up?
Chris Salona, I'm doing well. I'm doing well. It's a beautiful Sunday in August. What day is it? I don't even know. It's
August 9th. 8-9.
8-9. Great date.
Really great.
8-9-2020. 2026, that is.
Dude, please, I hope it's not 2020.
I'm doing well, man. I'm just I'm hanging out. It's been a nice weekend here in Philly. I've been, I guess for the check-in, I've been dog sitting my cousin Jason and Kirsten's dog Heath, and it's great, dude. I just came in. He's a good dog. He's a rescue pit, and he's awesome.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I came into the city. And it's just they got a house with a yard, which is really uncommon. They just moved in, but you know, for a bachelor like me, it's been amazing, dude. I wake up slow morning in the city. You know, you can walk wherever you need to go. I mean, yeah, different dynamic than what I've been doing back home. So it's been a lot of fun.
Nice.
And everything feels close. It's nice. So we're just hanging out. I got vacations coming up at the end of next week. I was going
to say it's almost time for the Outer Banks, isn't it?
We'll need to talk about that off camera because we got some planning to do. But
yeah, dude, that's the worst part is the planning.
Yep. So, but first, dude, my good friend Logan Breyer, he's getting married in October. We have his bachelor party this coming weekend.
That's right. Is it back-to-back weekends?
Of course.
Batch party and then Outer Banks.
and it's crazy. So,
babe,
his bachelor party is in Hilton Head, South Carolina.
Yep.
And it's Thursday to Sunday, and my family's driving down to the Outer Banks on Saturday. So
sure.
I'm gonna miss a day. I have to drive, and this is the third friend from my Kentucky group that it is butted up to.
You had to do the same thing last year.
Yes, last year I was
Justin or
last year was for Will.
That's right,
Will Walker, and we were in Savannah, Georgia.
Yeah.
And
was
then
that the cabin situation?
That was 4 or 5 years ago that we were in East Georgia, and it was the same thing. I had to drive all the way through North Carolina, and so all of these is like a bachelor party that right up to like a 7 or 8 hour drive because you can't get to the Outer Banks like fast, and like I mean these two are on the there's you have to like drive inland.
Make you earn it.
Yeah, and so this is the third freaking time that I'm gonna have to drive. I'm gonna do a bachelor party and then drive like 8 hours just to relax.
Oh man!
And I mean, I was gonna again potentially fly, but the airports
it only gets you so close.
Yeah, it only gets you so close, and so we got a big week ahead. I'm probably gonna break it up. I'll start driving Wednesday, try to get there Thursday, and it's gonna it'll be a trip. So I'm very excited. I mean, I love a good road trip. So there's a lot. So I have like 2 days of work. I mean, I was gonna work a little bit Wednesday, but I mean, I kind of like was talking to him. He's like, you can take off. I don't mind. I was like, probably a good thing. Then I can just plan and do something Wednesday before I leave, or
totally.
We'll see. So, yeah, man, it's a good time. Like it feels like I'm in. I did see a post that was like, August is 5 weeks, 5 Mondays, 4 full weeks, no national holidays. It's like a bruiser for the corporate world, but. This is when we take vacation,
Yeah,
so I've been looking forward to
vacation. August. Yeah, 100%. And I think more so than any month, August is already spoken for by the time you get to it. I feel like I'm staring down the end of the summer right here already. I mean, this weekend's already almost over. Next weekend, my 2 days are spoken for. The following weekend, I think the 2 days are already spoken for. So, pretty soon it's going to be September and, everything that entails. But can't do anything about it. Time marches on.
Yes, it does. How are you doing today, man?
I'm good, dude. I'm trying to think. This week it was pretty good. It was a fairly normal week, I think, for the most part. We're recording. Yeah, it's Sunday right now. So my grandparents were born 1 year and 1 day apart. So yesterday, on Saturday, August 8th, we celebrated my grandpa's 90th birthday, and today we're celebrating my grandma's 89th birthday. So yesterday was just classic situation. Nice big family cookout. We probably had probably 40 people at one point, like coming through, and I was locked on the grill. I made sure that I had a bunch of light beer. I had a bunch of meat that I was slinging around, and This is the best, man. Like, you're slinging on the grill and you're like, I don't know, maybe like between 4 to 6 beers deep. So like you're
All the
locked in the
time.
flow state. Exactly. But it went
People
really
come
well.
up to you, to talk because you're on the grill. And
Yeah, and the whole party too is a surprise. Like we told them that we were having a cookout, but we didn't tell them who all was coming. So we got like all of their cousins, like all of their surviving family members for the most part to come through, which was really cool. So it was a special weekend. My brother came in and surprised them as well. So yeah, it's been pretty busy, but it's been all good stuff. So I ended up taking the day this episode comes out, I took the Monday out of work. So we're not done yet. I'm gonna roll for a little bit longer, perhaps, see what I can get into today. But yeah, things are good, man. Nothing to complain about here. Rolling right along. It's been a really good summer, I think, and I'm excited to finish the job.
Yeah, all things considered. I mean, it was hot the last few days, but the heat has not been bad this summer. Like, maybe just because, I don't know, I feel like it was hotter last year in the Northeast. I mean, it was always hotter in Alabama a little bit, but it has not been bad. I feel like I've been able to do a lot of stuff. So
yeah, we'll take it.
We'll take it. So yeah, so that's our check-in for August 10th. And
oh yeah.
So a few days earlier, we had an anniversary for, Grunge
really
Bible,
one of the pivotal moments. Like I think like had this not occurred, I don't know that we would be doing the podcast, or maybe the staying power of the page might not have been what it turned out to be. But we didn't mention it last week on the podcast, I don't think. But August 5th, last week marked 10 years since you and I saw Pearl Jam, both for the first time, both together. It was August 5th of 2016. Pearl Jam's first ever show at Fenway Park, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they never played Fenway Park until that year.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, that was the first time that they played at Fenway. And we were there, and we could think of no better concept for this week's episode than to take a trip down memory lane and chat about the show, chat about what led into the show, and everything, because it was really foundational, I think, to certainly this page, the podcast, our friendship, our music taste, everything. I mean, I don't think there was that summer, like 2016 going into the fall, was really in a lot of ways like the high water mark for the obsession that we had with this
100%.
music that we've chosen to talk about for the 10 years since. So in this show, I mean, we spent the whole summer kind of looking forward to it, and we scooped up tickets, and we spent that whole week looking forward to it. So we're going to take a little recap, 10 years in the making, and look back at, I can't believe it's already been 10 years, man. Like I still have a lot of pretty vivid memories from that show, that week, that time in my life, but time's rolling pretty quickly. But I'm excited to talk about this because we've mentioned this show many times on this podcast, but we've never done a proper debrief. So there's no better time than now that it's reached its 10-year anniversary. So we're going to be talking about that. But before we do that, we have some thanks to divvy out and to dish out to everybody. So if you're tuning in, thank you very much for joining us. Whether you've been with us forever or this is your first episode or your 10th, whatever, we've got a lot of episodes in the bank covering just about every single album, topic, band that you could want. So, take a stroll through our catalog. We've got a pretty prolific catalog at this point. There's something for everybody in there. And if you'd like to support us by listening, that's great. Go ahead, rate the show, follow it, subscribe, whatever. And if you'd like to go above and beyond the Call of Duty, you can support us financially by purchasing merchandise. The link is available in the show notes, and you can also join our Patreon. That link is available in the show notes. Join at a $2, $5, or $10 level. Each month, that money will go to us to help us keep this show rolling. And I'd like to thank the top tier supporters on Patreon who give $10 or more. And the or more category is comprised of Abraham and Frank, as well as the Cracker Man. And the $10 tier is comprised of the Blue Owl, Fuck Soup, Carlene Salona, Doug Endy, What the Fuck is Up, Denny's, Nikki Six, Black Hole Sean, Seattle 4 Fanboy from New Jersey, Eddie Vedder Got Me Through My Second Divorce, Sherry Matthews, Gochu John, Russell, King Bozo Stole My Hair, The Michael Dooley Project, A Bit Dusty, Ultra Mega OK, Heidi in Chains, Chris Buckley, and Looking California, Feeling Minnesota. That's the gang. Amen to that.
Thank you everybody who continues to support us. I can't believe it. We've been doing this for 5 years, a little over 5 years. So thank you for continued support. Some people have been there from the start.
Yeah. They go way back.
It's just speaking on that. It's wild to think that this show was 5 years prior to the podcast.
I can't believe it, man. Like, well, we'd only been running the page since February.
Yeah.
So the page was only several months old at that point. And I remember we posted it because Pearl Jam had posted a picture of so anytime there's a concert at Fenway Park, they have like the old manually operated scoreboard. They usually put the name of the band in the scoreboard, and Pearl Jam posted, it said like Pearl Jam August 5th, 2016 on the Green Monster scoreboard. And they posted a picture, and we shared it on the account on Grunge Bible on the Instagram page. And I remember it got like 76 likes or something and 2 comments, and we're like, today, like we are having our Pearl Jam birthday, like we're being born or something like that. And I just remember like that whole spring and summer of 2016 was when we really kind of jumped headlong into Pearl Jam, especially, and then we saw the opportunity to go see them, and it kind of coincided pretty perfectly because that week, you, Jim, Anya, Bruce, a couple of my friends from here, Adam, we all linked up at a beach house that I rented down by the water in Narragansett, Rhode Island. So we spent the whole week having a nice bender, and then you and I capped it off by going to the Pearl Jam show on that Friday night up in Boston. And that was such a fantastic week. And I remember that whole summer and even that whole week, like I was having a great summer. I had a great week, but I just could not wait to get to that show. To see this band, and it was still so new to us at that point. And there was like that anticipation is unmatched. And I'm sure if you're listening, if you were of age when in the early '90s, and you've probably seen Pearl Jam, you can relate to that feeling of being 19 or being 20, being 21 or whatever, and having the chance to see your at that time your favorite band live for the first time. You can't beat that feeling.
So, do you think did we plan the trip? And then we tagged on the Pearl Jam show, or do you think that we planned the show and then we Trojan horsed a gathering at the beach?
I don't remember. I think the gathering was planned first because I had rented that house back in like January or something. Like I had rented it
we planned that far out
far in advance. Yeah, somehow in our young age, yeah, we did, because I remember
that's
like
cool.
we split the rent like 4 ways or 5 ways or whatever. And this was like before Venmo kind of became ubiquitous, and I remember like Jim and like you might have too, or maybe we just settled up later, but like I remember like Jim sent me like a check that like I took to the bank and deposited like by hand. And that was a long time in the making, but I don't remember.
I'm wondering.
Yeah, which chicken or egg situation, but it couldn't have worked out more perfectly that it worked out that way. And I think that the vacation week was planned first because we had the option of the 2 shows to go to, but like you were going to leave town, you were leaving town Saturday or Sunday, and the second show was on Sunday. You weren't going to be around anymore. But the other caveat to it is you rolled into Rhode Island that week, coming off of that trip that you took with Kentucky, that mission trip that you were on. Yeah. So you flew directly into Providence, and me
from
and Jim
Ethiopia.
Came from Ethiopia, and Jim and I came to the airport and picked you up.
Yes,
and that's what kind of kicked that week off. So I think obviously Ticketmaster did what it did, and like we weren't able to get normal tickets, so we had to go pre-sale. I think I bought them on Vivid Seats or something, and at the time I remember we paid like $165 per ticket, which like is a lot of money now, and it was a lot of money 10 years ago, especially for a show. At the time it was the most I'd ever spent on a concert ticket or sporting event or anything, but we didn't really think twice about it. We're just like we have to see them live. And we emptied our piggy banks for it at the time, because I remember I was working like a construction job that summer. I think you were working with Andy, that whole thing going on, and you divert your funds for stuff like that.
Yeah, I definitely remember like no hesitation. It was like, oh, Pearl Jam. It was like, we're into this. I was like, we just bought tickets, and I'm so glad we did. I remember during that, when we first got into it, we were up against the like, oh, you weren't alive when it happened. You weren't there.
Yes.
All the comments saying that like we couldn't be like true Pearl Jam fans or grunge fans, and looking back to, I mean, we were 19 and 21 was our first show. Like now it seems like we were there as soon as we could. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It was like the same year that we got kind of like baptized in it. like we didn't hesitate. We bought tickets. We went, and now it's like, in hindsight, it's like we've been fans for a long time. But at the time, I remember, there's a little bit of a pushback of like, not for going to the show, but it was like, these guys know what they're talking. So it was very important that we went. I think that we both were like, just for our personal needs, and we're like, we wanted to be there. And
there was no question about it. Like we had to go to it.
And it was it was an incredible first show to go to. I think.
Oh yeah. On the anticipation, we were talking about it all summer. Ethan, I just found the email. We bought the tickets on July 28th of 2016. So just like
July 28th. Oh wow.
Like 2 weeks before the show, basically.
That answers that question.
Yeah, exactly. So we bought them on the secondary market from Vivid Seats. I have a screenshot of the ticket. The face value of the ticket, they were $65 a piece. I do remember paying a lot more than $65 a piece. And by that time we had started to make some friends through the Instagram page that were big Pearl Jam guys. And, we were chatting with some of them. We're, obviously one of the big, parts of going to see Pearl Jam live is you don't know what they're going to play. There's no set list, and Release had been our song for, since we discovered Pearl Jam basically. And that was like the one song we wanted to play, we wanted to hear. By that point, we knew that if they played Release, they were going to open with it. And, the whole time was like, dude, like I would do anything for them to open with Release. Like they don't do it all the time. So like, who knows what they're going to do? There's a couple of different songs that they typically at that time start shows with. And I remember one of the guys that we had become friendly with through the page, he'd seen like 50 Pearl Jam shows or something. He's like, I know they're going to open with Release. Like you guys are there. It's going to happen. And we drove up. We spent the day at the beach that Friday morning. We went to the beach, and then the rest of the group were like, hey guys, like have fun, like do whatever you want, like drink the beer, whatever, like go do whatever you want. Like Ethan and I have someplace we have to be. And we drove up to Boston. I remember we were running a little late as we often would at the time. And I remember going like a lot faster than we probably should have been going on the highway in like the car that we borrowed from my mom, because I didn't have a car at the time, that whole thing. And we got up there, we parked like in a garage, like right by Fenway. And like we got in, I think, the show was scheduled to start at 7. We got there at like 6:45 or something, but they obviously don't start when it's supposed to. No opener. We got acclimated. We found our seats. We just sat there waiting and waiting and waiting. And, the crowd starts filling in, and they we were so far away, like we were way behind home plate in the grandstand, and the stage is in center field. So like you hear like the hum of the crowd as like you start to see some activity on the stage, even though we couldn't really see it that well. And then they played over the PA. They played Baba O'Reilly by The Who, like the iconic intro when the band's walking out, and everybody starts going crazy. And I remember Ed gets out there and he's like, they said there'd be some people here tonight. And they all pick up their instruments, and Stone starts playing that D chord riff to Release. And like, dude, I remember like tearing up. I think like we had our arms around one another, and it was like, if they walked off the stage after that, like, or if lightning struck and like killed the electricity or something, like we had to go home, I would have been fine with it, because we heard the song that we needed to hear, the first chance we had.
Yeah, I do remember like, we drove in and we went straight to the stadium because you were 19, so we couldn't even go to a bar.
No, I couldn't even go to a bar. Exactly.
Dude, we couldn't even like. So we went straight to, and I felt like if we sat there for 45 minutes, I remember being like really fast. Like we went up there and like immediately it was go time.
Yeah.
And they started playing Release, and it was like, we had just met the people around us, which we'll get into, but like it was like arm in arm immediately.
Everybody, everybody around us.
It was like immediately. It felt like an encore. It was like everybody had showed up. They played earlier, and they were playing an encore, and it was quite the I've said it before, like a baptism into the concert and the fandom. And it was exactly like you said. If that was the only song they played, it would have been incredible, and it would have been fine, because that's what we were looking for. And it really is. It is like a funny coincidence, that they played that. I mean, it's a perfect story for us. Like it made sense, because that was, like you said, there was some songs that came up that are popular that we haven't maybe gotten into at the time still. Like our knowledge of the catalog wasn't what it is now or what it was like for the next 2 years when we were listening a ton. But Release was one that we were dead set on hearing. So that was such a beautiful start. I mean, yeah, that's like our nugget for the show. I mean, that's the prize.
It was the best one, and by that time, I mean, they took the stage like 7:45, so it's still light out. Like that time in the summertime, like the sun doesn't set till like 8:15 or something like that. So I remember like it was still nice and bright outside, and they play Release, and like we're a mess, like we're screaming the lyrics or whatever, and then the one dude. Guy without his shirt.
I was saying, when did he come in?
He came in during Release.
During Release,
and I think he got between us and he put his arms around both of us. And we never got his name. This guy was not wearing a shirt, and he had an incredibly fresh tattoo right on his chest of the word "rear view mirror," stylized like the same font that they used for like the "Rear View Mirror" compilation album, which we both had in our cars. I remember back then, and like I remember he came in, put his arms around us, then he left, and then he came back with beers, and he gave us beer, I remember, which was great because like I couldn't buy beer, and like you didn't want to leave to go get beer because we're like, shit, like we're here now, like I don't want to miss anything. And never got his name other than we just called him Rear View Mirror. And he said that he used to be a cop in Cambridge and he got fired for smoking too many cigarettes. And,
he said I got fired. We're like, for what? It was like really quiet. He's like, I was smoking too much cigarettes.
I remember he was trying to tell us in between songs, like he's like, oh, I've been here for like, I saw the Stones here, I saw the Foo Fighters here, everything. And he's like, Pearl Jam. He's like, I just got this tattoo, like I love this band, and he stood with us like the whole time. Like I got a couple videos, like Snapchat videos back in the day of us in Rear View taking in the show. But like I feel like every single time like you go to a show like that, there's always one character that enters your world for the 2 or 3 hours that the show goes on, and then you never see them again. But like you never forget them, and this was our guy, shirtless guy, Rear View Mirror. We took in the whole show with him.
Yeah, I definitely remember like everybody's sitting down, and then all of a sudden they come up, we stand up, and then he popped in because I was like, all these seats are taken. Like his seats.
There were no seats available.
Like,
exactly.
Like we were like there were six seats in our like where we were standing, and there were 8 people. Like it was tight because, but like I was like, all right, he's coming to watch here, I guess. I think he had buddies behind us or something, but he was not in his right row. He came just for us.
Yeah, exactly. He did. I mean, you figure all the rows that he could have butt in on, he knew the one that he had to be in. And you had like the emotional crescendo of Release. That was to that point. Ethan, I think that was only like the 3rd concert in my life that I had ever been to. It was less than 5 shows that I had gone to. Like first time like I ever like cried at a show, like that whole thing. They play Release and they go into Long Road right afterwards, which I think a lot of these songs like we knew, but we hadn't developed a relationship with them, and like I hadn't developed a relationship with Long Road. But then they go into the longest title in the Pearl Jam catalog, Elderly Woman Behind the Counter in a Small Town, which they play at damn near every show, and it's just it's just a great sing-along tune, and like we're kind of settling in with that one. And then after that was Low Light, which I don't think I knew that song yet at that point. I was like, I'm just kind of waiting for the ones that I want. But one of my highlights, Ethan, was the next song that they played, which was All Those Yesterdays. And it was funny, like there's some video, like the pro shot stuff from that show. And I was earlier before we started recording, I watched All Those Yesterdays, and somebody commented a year ago on this video, and they said, I think Stone Gossard and Ed Roland of Collective Soul are the 2 most underrated rock musicians of all time. Which ties in because last week was Ed Roland's birthday. Like,
there's people out there that believe Ed Roland, I don't know, it's just staying power of the name, but
well, just like there's people that their favorite band is Manchester Orchestra, there's
Carlisle
that we met in Ventura, California. There's people out there, but I just remember because I mean these guys at that point more than any other point in our lives, like those guys were gods to us. Jeff, Stone, Mike, Ed, and Matt, and even Boom Gasper, of course, as well. And I just remember like Mike took the guitar solo in All Those Yesterdays, and I was just like, holy fucking shit.
Yeah.
Like this.
Well, so that's a great jam to it, right? That song. I mean, that song is
and that was the first jam basically that they played, because like Release Long, like all those songs, like there's not really any soloing going on.
Yeah.
And I remember like when Mike took flight there, we got the first McCready faces of our lives, and he's like staring up, looking at the sky, like making his guitar cry.
Yeah.
I remember.
So
I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah, and we saw them in 2018, and maybe we'll get to that today. I'm not sure, but I remember this show and walking out and just being like, these guys are a rock band. Like more, and I knew this and stuff, but like, I've been listening to maybe like, I don't know, I just, studio stuff, and I wasn't into the live stuff. And I remember like they were ripping, and I was like, and they were they were probably in their 50s at that point still, right?
Yeah,
not quite.
They were early 50s, because I think they're all 60s now. Yeah,
so they were older, and I just remember being really impressed by the musicianship all night. These guys, they were ripping, and I mean, McCready was like soloing, like all, it was just really, really good music, and it impressed me. I remember walking out being like, these guys, that was a really great rock show, and and they have obviously all the hits. They played like 6 or 7 covers, so like. They put on a great show.
It was a 32 song set list, which is, I mean, they don't do that anymore. I mean, it was just about 3 hours of music. They got to pick their spots. I mean, Matt's not in the band anymore. Like, we don't know who the Pearl Jam drummer's going to be now. Like
Josh Freese.
And we were and we were talking before, like this was like one of the last like perfect live eras of Pearl Jam, because you got the 3-hour shows. They were touring with maybe a little bit more frequency back then too, and like you just knew you were gonna get your face melted for 3 hours, and I'm glad that we caught them in that era, because I mean shit, like you blink your eye now and it's been 10 years down the road. These guys are older, and as I said, Matt's not in the band anymore, but I remember like you're kind of still like getting your bearings throughout the first 4, 5, or 6 songs, and they played Given to Fly, which is one of the first songs that I think you discover when you get into Pearl Jam. And then Mind Your Manners came on, really not big into that one, so we're just kind of waiting for like what's gonna come next, and then they hit a really sick trio of Why Go, Daughter, and then Even Flow. And I'm not the biggest fan of Even Flow nowadays, because the tempo is so much quicker, and it was then, but I mean they just turned it into like an unbelievably long jam. And even as they did with Daughter, like they tagged a little bit of WMA from back from the Versus album, and as well as another Brick in the Wall Part 2 by Pink Floyd. And I remember that, I was like, yo, I didn't know that they did that. And I remember I was like, no shit, Pink Floyd, which we're gonna come back to Pink Floyd in a little bit. And then I remember too, it's kind of weird to think about this in the greater context of just everything that's going on. So it was the first time they played Fenway Park, and Ed's a big Cubs fan. Yeah, the Cubs hadn't yet won the World Series yet. They were still going back to 1908 or whenever the last World Series was. I mean, they ended up winning later that fall, but I remember after Even Flow, they played Faithful, and Eddie Vedder dedicated it to David Ortiz, because it was David Ortiz's last season. He had announced that he was retiring, and he was like, this one goes out to Big Papi. And they played Faithful, which is a really, really great song from Yield. And if I remember correctly, it was one that wasn't, it was not on the original set list, but they ended up throwing it in there. As there was a lot of jimmying around with the set list. So we ended up getting Faithful, which was, like I said, just a really, really great song. And, anytime you name drop David Ortiz within the city limits of Boston, you're going to get some applause, and they certainly did.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's so funny that David Ortiz was still playing in the MLB at that point.
I know, lifetimes ago, man. I can't believe it. Like, I mean, Pedroia was playing second base for the Red Sox. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, they hadn't yet won in 18. The Cubs hadn't won, as we said. I mean, so much hadn't happened at that point. Yeah. I mean, this was in the greater context. I mean, this was still like Barack Obama was the president at the time. I mean, that was such a long time ago at this point, a lot of time's gone by, but by this point, I mean, that's 11 songs in, and I just remember like knowing that we were going to be there for a while. It's like sitting down to a long movie. Like, you're going to be there for a while, and it's like, I got time to like just sit here and enjoy it and know that I still have like 2 hours left. I remember sitting there, like the sun went down, and we're like, shit, like, we're just settling into this. Like, who knows what's going to come next? And, they play Faithful, they play Grievance, they play I Am Mine, which is a song that we really loved at the time. The whole I Know I Was Born, I Know That I'll Die, the In Between Is Mine. That was a big song for us at the time. And then they played Down, and I remember by this time, it was dark outside, and, you never know who's going to come on stage. I think when Pearl Jam play Seattle, when they play Chicago, maybe when they play Boston. And he's like, I'd like to welcome a very special guest out for this next song. And he was like, please put your hands together for Mr. Bronson Arroyo, which is such a weird, deep cut because he pitched for the Red Sox from like 2003 to 2005, and he's a musician himself, and he put out an album called Covering the Bases, and he had a cover version of Black on that, and he comes out, he didn't sing unfortunately, but he played acoustic guitar during Black, and it was one of those like 8-minute versions of Black.
This was the highlight for me for the show, 100%. Or one of them. I just remember, it was a really long version, and in the middle, they dropped out, like completely turned off all the lights. People put up their phones and like lit. He's like, let's light up.
When they did the "We Belong Together" call and response, everybody had their phones out. Yep, exactly.
Yeah. And it was such a powerful, it was a powerful build and powerful song. And Bronson was there assisting, which is great.
And the funny thing, his MLB career wasn't over at that point. He pitched the next year for the Reds. He was like 39 years old, and he was throwing like 78 miles an hour. But he had enough time to come back to Boston and play with Pearl Jam, which is
not the only Boston Red Sox that came out that night.
No, yeah, we'll get to it in a little bit. There's going to be some assistance here later on.
And then they went right into my favorite Pearl Jam song.
Oh yeah, you love this one.
They played "Do the Evolution," which they played at 591 shows apparently. Which,
I think we've gotten it every time. Every time we see them, they fucking play that song. Which, I know how much you love that song.
My night was Black.
It's like I
went right into "Do the Evolution."
Tune out my brain a little bit, and even still, like the next two songs, I didn't know what they were at the time. They did their cover of Bob Dylan's "Masters of War," which evidently was the first time they'd played it in 8 years. They decided to play it there, and then they did a cover of Steven Van Zant's song "I Am a Patriot." Which I didn't know that song at that point either. And then, as they did a lot at that time, they kind of had a little bit of an intermission. And usually during that era of Pearl Jam, and maybe even these days, I don't really look at too many set lists of the recent tours. But the last song they would play before their first intermission was "Porch," and that was one that we wanted to hear too. And they did the really long interlude. By that point, Ed was a little too old to be climbing the rafters and jumping in the crowd and everything. But still, I remember the guitar solos, everything, the build into that final chorus, it was all there, and that was a song that we had really wanted to hear as well. And they delivered, and it was, that
getting like Porch, Wygo, and like
Black,
corduroy, Black, there was, but Porch was huge. That's so fun. Like Porch, Wygo, and honestly Rear View are some of my absolute favorites to get live and just have. So that was great. And I think that was the last song before they took their first
they took a break,
right?
Yeah, they took like a 5-minute break, and they come out and they do some kind of subdued solo stuff. They played "Strangest Tribe," which is, I think it's like a B-side from Lost Dogs or something, if I remember correctly. And I don't think I knew that song yet. But the next song we knew, and we really loved at that time, from the Into the Wild soundtrack, "Society," which I remember we were really excited to hear that one, as well as "Just Breathe," which was the next song that they played. And then
we wanted "Hard Sun," but we didn't get it.
We wanted something, but we were able to get Society. Just Breathe were fantastic. And then after "Just Breathe," I don't really have a high opinion of Eddie Vedder's solo album Ukulele Songs, but he's standing out there. He's like, all right. He's like, for this next song, can I get a uke out here? And it's like, if this dude needs a ukulele. But Kevin Uke himself delivered the ukulele to Eddie Vedder, and I think they both took a swig of Eddie's bottle of wine, and it was worth having to sit through "Sleeping by Myself." I think it was worth it to see Kevin Ukeles himself.
Oh yeah,
I think his career had ended the year prior, so he was just kind of doing what he had to do. Shit, if you get the opportunity to be on stage at a Pearl Jam show, you're going to take it. And then the following two songs I remember being really stoked about. because we got Wasted reprise with Eddie Vedder singing and Boom Gasper on the organ, right into Life Wasted. That was a really cool moment. I remember, we connected with that song pretty early on for some reason.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. Like, you kind of have a patchwork understanding of their discography at that point, because I think at that point they had 10 albums out, because Lightning Bolt was the 10th, and at the time it was their most recent one. And you just kind of weird thinking back to which songs, but then they kind of turned up the heat for the final 3 songs of that like middle run, I guess the first encore, if you wanted to call it. We got State of Love and Trust. We got their cover of Comfortably Numb by Pink Floyd, which was really unbelievable. Epic. I remember. And then Corduroy. So it's kind of funny, the most great musicians, they kind of know when to turn the dial up a little bit and bring everybody down. And with that first set they did, they end with Porch and they come out and do some kind of easy stuff, and then it kicks in with Life Wasted after Wasted reprise, and then Stay Love and Trust, Comfortably Numb, and Corduroy. Was just such a cool run, man. It was the best.
It really was. It was super high intensity for, honestly, yeah. Once they came out, when the last like hour was pretty epic, because they took their break and then they came back, and we got hit with 4 more songs, and Draw the Line was a live debut for them, and I hadn't known the
if
song
I remember right. I think at the time Joe Perry, who was a guitarist for Aerosmith, like had some sort of health issues going on. So as like tribute to Joe Perry, Aerosmith kind of being the whole Boston thing going on. I think that's why they decided to play Draw the Line as like a tribute / like get well thing going out to Joe Perry, which I've never really been an Aerosmith guy. I don't think I even knew the song Draw the Line, but I'm just standing there and I was like, okay, this is pretty sick. And you're getting towards the end, because by that time it's like 10:15. It's like, how much longer can they take it? And I was like, I'm still holding out hope for maybe some Alive, maybe some Ledbetter, maybe Rockin' in the Free World, Baba O'Reilly, who knows. And they finished Draw the Line, and as they always do, the lights, one by one, the banks of lights around Fenway start turning on, and then you hear that opening lick of Alive, and this was it's one of the best moments of every Pearl Jam show when they play that song.
Yeah, and they ripped it. I mean, it's played a lot. People have heard it. I think it's their most played song easily on in their history.
Yeah, that and Even Flow. I mean, those songs probably played at every single Pearl Jam show.
Yep. But it's so good live. Like, it's one of those ones where like I'll always listen to the live a live version of Alive.
Yeah,
like
I absolutely agree.
It rips, and you got to have it at the show. I mean, you'd be bummed if you didn't have it. So it was needed. It was really good.
Yeah. So by this point, like, we know it's almost time. And I remember I was hoping for Yellow Ledbetter. Like, I really, really wanted to hear it. And then, Eddie Vedder comes up to the mic for this last song. And this was back when, people still used to write into the 10 Club with different stories and whatnot. And there was a guy who wrote in. He wrote into the 10 Club, and he said that his father had just passed away, and that he was really struggling throughout the loss of his dad, and the kid was a really big Pearl Jam fan. His dad never got down with that music, but he said the one Pearl Jam song or Pearl Jam version of a song that he and his father were able to connect on was way back in the day. They used to do a cover of I've Got a Feeling by the Beatles. They had recorded a version in the studio probably around 92, and it was a pretty frequent member of their set list at the time when they only were working off of 10. And then they had played it, a few times in Boston. They played it at the Garden in 94. They played it at the Orpheum in 94. And then it kind of disappeared for a long time from their set list. And Eddie Vedder was like, we haven't played it in God knows how long. I think the last time we might have played it was maybe in Boston. But he's like, we're going to do this one for, I forget the guy's name, who he dedicated it to, who had just lost his dad. And then they go into I've Got a Feeling, which I don't think I knew that song at that time. Like, I don't think we knew that like Pearl Jam had a version of it and whatnot, because we were still kind of in our infancy. But I remember like that was a really good one, and like that was one of those songs that if you knew, you knew. Like those in the crowd who like knew that song based off of the opening riff. I remember they were going crazy, and I was like, I don't know what this is.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I had the same feeling, and of course, they finished up. They closed out with Baba O'Reilly kind of finishing the tag that they started in the beginning of the concert.
Yeah.
I didn't mind it. I mean, it felt like a nice way to have everybody exit, while they were
playing
for
something
sure. Like that.
Well, it's like
I don't know
you're
if I
gonna
would rather have a Pearl Jam song to finish up.
Yeah,
like it almost
I
feels
really
right,
wanted
but
Ledbetter.
I know.
And we ran out of time. Because I feel like you're gonna get Babbo O'Reilly, you're gonna get Rockin' in the Free World, or you're gonna get Yellow Ledbetter. So we got once they played Babbo O'Reilly, we kind of knew it's like, all right, like I guess we're not gonna get anything else, because this was already the third time they'd come onto the stage to play. So we knew it was time. And once Ed starts handing out the tambourines and everything to the people in the pit, it's quitting time. But yeah, it was. I mean, at that point too, I mean, you kind of know that it's time, and everybody's singing along, and it's only Teenage Wasteland, that whole thing. Everybody's singing.
Everyone's wasted.
Yeah, they're all wasted indeed. And it was just 32 songs, man. I remember once Babbo O'Reilly finished and we saw that they were going off the stage for good, it's like, obviously the one thing that we said to one another was, why go home? And I think we stood around our seats, and we sat in our seats until the event staff came and told us to get the hell out of there. But
then we had to go home because we couldn't do anything, and we had to make a drive back to Narragansett, but which was I remember, which is you saddled the burden for that one and drove.
You slept the whole way home. I remember.
I don't know if I slept the whole way home, but I did.
As soon as we got onto the highway, we got on 93 in Boston, and you're like, all right. It's like, I'm just gonna like close my eyes for a little bit, and like you slept pretty much till we got back to Narragansett. I remember calling my brother because like I was exhausted at that point too. I mean, we were on a bender for the whole week. We probably hadn't slept.
We didn't drink that much at the concert because we had pretty much used up all of our beers. Well, we used up all of our beers.
Yeah, we used up all of our beers, and we spent all of our beer money on the concert tickets. So like the well was dry at that point. And
we didn't eat and we didn't drink.
Yeah, we probably had like a beer and a half each between what we were able to scrounge up from Rearview Mirror to buy. I mean, back then, Fenway beers were still expensive. They're expensive now.
I don't even know if I bought.
Then I don't think you did.
We had to have bought a beer, but I probably maybe one. That's it. Like I didn't leave. Once the show started, we didn't leave.
Right. Yeah, because that was your burden.
Maybe intermission
you had to carry. Yeah, because I couldn't buy beer at the time, which is so funny. I mean, such like a. I remember back before
no one
was.
21. Everyone was. I mean, I guess we're outing ourselves. Everyone was underage at that party.
100%. And it's like you remember at the time, it's like one of the chief focuses for your weekend is like, how am I going to get beer? And now it's like I just walk into the store, But I remember back then, it's like
I don't even think
we need beer and we need a place to drink beer. And that week, it's like okay, like. We have the place to drink beer, and then you were doing all the beer runs for us because you were the only person who was 21. And I remember, when we all linked up the first night you got there, we got pulled over on the way to the liquor store. Do you remember that? The cop was like, you guys, you crossed over a double yellow a little back there. I just want to make sure you guys are good. And I got kind of spooked. I'm like, shit, like, we were on our way to the liquor store.
Follow us.
If they had pulled us over afterwards, I would have been in some trouble. And he took all of our IDs. He's like, oh, you guys from a lot of different places. What are you doing? I was like, oh, like we're just hanging out. Like we're just got a house.
Pit Fest.
Yeah, Pit Fest 2016. To this day, the only Pit Fest that has happened. But man, it was a great first and last one. But yeah, that whole week, man, I remember the night before Thursday night was the night that Adam came. Like Adam came, my friend Ben from home came. Obviously, all of us were still there, and like we hit it pretty hard that night. And the next day, I was like, "Oh shit, I gotta drive up to Boston." So we drove up, did the show. We got back super late. We had to leave the rental the next morning. So like, you get home, like crack a beer, and like try to like clean up a little bit.
I think everybody had left, or most people. Maybe Anya stayed, obviously, but I think some people
Bruce
left
had
Friday.
left. Bruce was the first one to leave. Bruce left Friday, and it was you, me, Jim, and Anya, because the next morning, like early morning, like 5-6 in the morning, I had to drive Jim up to Boston to go to Logan Airport because he was flying out at like 7 a.m. So we got home probably like 1 o'clock or something. We tried to clean a little bit, got a couple of hours of sleep, and then I had to get right back in the car and drive up to Boston to drop Jim off. I remember I was falling asleep driving Jim back to the airport, and on the way home I just blasted a bunch of Rage Against the Machine to get me back. And I remember we tidied up the house, and then we went to the beach one last time Yumi and Anya, before we closed down the house. And similarly, that would have been August 6th. I had to go back to North Providence, my hometown, because we were having a cookout for my grandparents' birthday. And I was in the roughest shape of my life. I was like, I hadn't slept. I've been in the car. Like, I'm so hungover. Like, I don't think I had had a drink of water all week. And I was like, that weird juxtaposition, like you're riding the high of like, having seen the show, and like physically you're just like the lowest of the low, and it's like which inclination is gonna live out, you know? And I remember having to like help set up the yard and everything. I was like I physically cannot do this right now. You know, I was like, you guys don't know what we just went through the last week.
Yep, everybody's asking about it, and you're just like, it was really good.
I was like, I don't have anything else more to say right now about it. But yeah, that show, man, you know, we've gone to so many shows over the course of our lives. I'm sure by this point, you and I have each gone to, you know, at least 100, probably 150 shows over the years, maybe two, whatever. You know, there's always some that stick in your memory, you know, of different bands or different moments in your life. And this was that perfect, like, it was the moment in our lives, and it was the band, and it was what that band meant to us then. You know, and I'll never forget that show. And, you know, it's perfect that like we got to do that together at that time. Against all odds. I mean, you were going to school in Kentucky. I was going to school in Iowa. You lived in Pennsylvania. I lived in Rhode Island. They were playing in Boston. How everything was able to come together, we made it work.
Yeah, I think that was exactly it. Like, it's like, we have to go. Like, this is opportunity. Like, don't know when we're gonna go again. And really glad, really happy we did. And it almost, I mean, I'd like to go see him again, but at the same time, like the two shows we got, like I feel really fulfilled from seeing them. Yeah, I was just looking at the Sunday show they did, you know, because comparing the set list, and I didn't realize that at the bottom for their encore was Alive, Rockin' in the Free. Well, I guess it actually started way back up, but the last four songs were Alive, Rockin' in the Free World, Yell Ledbetter, and then they finished with Star Spangled Banner on top of that.
McCready.
But for Rockin' in the Free World, they had guest Jay Mascis come out.
No kidding.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
Yeah, Jay Mascis came out.
Jay Mascis was there. That's crazy.
Him and Ray Cameron. So I'm like, dude, I mean, that would have been really sick. I would have loved to have seen that, but you know, at the time, probably didn't know much anything about him. So
yeah.
But yeah, they got that. I mean, they didn't open with a release on Sunday, so it's good we went when we did. Yeah. Otherwise, we would have been like, you know, I can't believe it. But yeah, they got Jeremy. We didn't get Jeremy, and they got Rear View, which is great. Let's see what else. I believe in Miracles. That would have been fun.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too because like,
and they got Yell Ledbetter.
We've only been to a couple Pearl Jam shows, and like, you know, you kind of check them off the list. And like, I remember, you know, we had seen Release, so that was the only one that we really, really needed to check off. We got it the first time. And I remember when we went a couple of years later in Chicago, you know, there were some that we wanted to check off. We got Present Tense that night. We got Not For You. We got Breath. We got Rearview Mirror that night. And then that night we were able to get Alive, Rockin' the Free World into Ledbetter in Chicago, which was really, really fantastic. So
we pretty much nailed all of them. I guess we don't have Jeremy at either of them though.
No, we didn't get Jeremy. No, that's
like the only song I can like. I mean, there's plenty more, but we got 60 between the two shows. That's 66 songs.
Yeah, exactly.
64.
Yeah, 64. That's a lot of music.
Yeah, that's like 3 shows. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's 4 shows for some bands. You know, not Pearl Jam back then, but yeah, man. I mean, I can't believe it's already been 10 years, and I mean, I'm not surprised that like 10 years later we're still just as close as we are, but I am surprised that like we're doing this 10 years later.
I know that we're talking, that we have the chance to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't even 20 yet, and I'm turning 30 next month, and you know, you'll be 32 next month, and I'm like, dude, a lot of miles in between.
It is, man. It's times have changed, and I've changed by not changing at all.
Exactly. That's what they tell me. I just want to scream, hello.
Yeah, really, really special show. I'm really happy they got to share it with you, you know, because like I said, and there's always, logistically it worked out, which is crazy. And it is crazy that we made the Wrigley one work out too.
Well, it's funny, like back then, like you don't have the money to do things, but like you have the time and like the innocence to like just be like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do this. Where it's like now, we could probably shoulder the burden of like $150 ticket a little bit better than we could when we were in college. But like, there's always so much going on, and it's so hard to get these things planned. I mean, by case in point, I mean, that group of us like has not been together all under the same roof since. Yeah. So it's just. Yeah, I'm glad looking back, and we still have the ability to do these things, and we do these things. I mean, you just came up like last month or 2 months ago, whatever. But that's why, like when you're young, even if the money's running tight, you make the plans and you figure out how to make it happen later. Yeah, and that's what
the nice part. You don't have a lot of money, but you also don't have the responsibility.
Oh, there's no responsibility.
Like paying for stuff and paying for money. So like. If you spend it on that, just gets in the way of spending it for beer or food or something. Like now, exactly. It's like you're always making decisions because you have other stuff to pay for.
Bills have piled up,
Yeah, there's one more stress behind the bills and stuff. So yeah, pretty crazy.
What a lineup!
What a lineup! Yeah, I mean, special. So
that was great.
That's pretty much all I have on this show. I mean, it was
10 years gone, man.
Yeah, 10 years gone, man.
That's crazy.
We'll have to. I mean, I think we'll see one more in the. Yeah,
I think we should, for old time's sake. We should go back and maybe leverage our connections somehow, and maybe.
No, that would be sweet. Yeah,
get the tickets, or at least get people to buy our beer or something.
I mean, now we're getting to a point where you don't know how many times they're going to play again. So if we see them, playing, I think we'll jump on at least one more time, and that'll be like it'll be like our closer. So
yeah, we'll complete a triad.
Yeah. Let's do it.
I'm in. Next
where was the show. You saw I saw them in
Boston in 2024 at Fenway. Yeah.
So you saw them twice at Fenway.
Yes, exactly.
Nice.
Yep. Yeah, because that time, I forget. You might have been. I don't know where. It was in September. It was like September 17th of 2024, and like I remember, like I went with my girlfriend at the time. We went to the show, and I think you were in Alabama still or something. And we were trying to figure out if it was gonna work, but it didn't end up working out for us.
Well, you bought them the week of or something.
Exactly.
It was like another really quick pull of trigger.
That's it. Hey, sometimes you gotta pull the trigger. So. We'll pull the trigger again in time. I guarantee it. And maybe we always talk about having a Grunge Bible meetup. Maybe we'll actually do it at a Pearl Jam show coming to a city near you, perhaps.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on the schedule. So.
Oh yeah. Well, that's that. Pearl Jam, August 5th, 2016 at Fenway Park. Glad to go down memory lane here today. More or less on the 10-year anniversary. We'll count it.
Oh yeah, it counts.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. Right. Yeah, thank you everybody for listening, making it to the end of the episode. Hopefully we'll be back next week with another episode. So come back for more. Chris, is there anything else you got?
No, that's it, man. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you to our producer, Drew McFadden. Thank you, Ethan. I think just songs of the week to close out. I'm going to keep it nice and simple. I'll pick all those yesterdays from Pearl Jam to make my song of the week. Unfortunately, the show that we went to at Fenway in 2016 has not found its way to the streaming services yet, but if it ever does, we'll definitely be playing that one a lot. But there's some videos out there. I think you should go check it out if you haven't. Yeah,
I think for purposes obvious reasons, I'm going to go with the Rear View Mirror here again. I'm sure it's already on the list, but just an incredible song. I'm definitely going to listen to that on the way home as I drive today. So,
oh yeah.
2 PJ songs.
That's it, man.
It's a classic lineup.
Dude, so good.
Thank you, everybody, and we will we'll talk to you again.
You better believe it. Rock and roll.
Hanser.